Well, since we're on this subject, if you don't mind me asking, tell us a little bit about yourself personally, like where you're from, how you got to LA, and what made you focus solely on law firms.
Yeah. By the way, this gonna be in the book that we're releasing very soon. So it's gonna be a little bit about my past and my childhood, just a little bit, not too much about that.
What's
Uh,
the book called?
Counsel to counsel. So we're in the final stages right now. It's an editing stage. I'm proofreading the last few chapters right now before we send it out to a final proofreading stage, and then it's gonna get published, and it's gonna be Amazon's bestseller.
That's right. New York Times bestseller.
Exactly. So that's so it's gonna be a little bit in that in the book, but let me go back to my childhood. I'm Armenian originally. My parents are Armenian. I was born in Iran, so Armenian from Iran. My from Asians, and I don't know, grandparents and grandparents. They've lived in Iran for many years, but we're still Armenian. We still speak Armenian. I was born 1980, right after the Iranian Revolution and in the middle of the Gulf War between Iran and Iraq. So my parents just took us off and we landed in Sweden. So I have a 7-year-old brother and another sister in between us. So we had to go before they took him into army and all the crazy stuff would happen to us. So they went to Sweden because my aunts and uncles, one aunt and uncle lived in Sweden back then. We never been there before. We just took off in the middle of the winter. We land in Sweden. We'll never see that much snow. It was a shock. I was a child. I don't remember too much, but talking to my siblings and my parents, it was not what was expected. But I grew up there in Sweden until I was 20. I graduated there. I worked for Ernst & Young in Stockholm for a few years before I decided to move out to California and try my wings here. I started working for a firm a couple of years. This is in 2008 and 9, right in the middle of the financial crisis. And I was laid off. I got laid off from the firm I was at that time, about a month before we were getting married. So it was not the best time to you lose your job, but everything happens for a reason. I really strongly believe in that.
Yeah,
So
totally.
So I started my own firm right after that in 2009 and gradually got into it and just got more and more clients. And until one day I woke up and didn't want to do it anymore. Said, this is too much. Like I'm doing everything for anybody who walks in the door, and it's not going to be sustainable. That's not how you build a business, Emil. Wake up. Let's get into it. Let's do something different. And that's when I decided to get into law firms, to be able to provide law firms a lot more value than just to compare myself to any other CPA out there, which is not the fun part of it.
Yeah,
That's a little bit about
exactly.
my story, Jody.
Well, just one more question. What did you learn from 2008 as a CPA?
You know, it's interesting. People think that just because you're employed, it's safe to have a W-2 job. It's anything but safe to be an employee of the company. You got to be on yourself, you stand on yourself and do what's necessary. Even though I feel like I kind of deliver pretty good service while being at the firm, but it was not in my head. Like 30 other people got laid off. It was not in the firm's hands either. The economy is disaster and they had to let people go to survive. So I'm not blaming anybody, but it's not. But if I was running my firm back then, I would probably be able to adjust it and kind of be able to still move on, as I did when I started my firm later in 2009, in the middle of the worst time probably to open up a practice or a business. It wasn't
Especially when it deals with money.
especially that time. But looking back, you got to be positive. Starting at the worst time of the one of the worst time in history, it could only get better. So you were at zero, you might as well just start as negative and just go upwards and just, so it was good. I'm happy I did it. I will not go back and do anything else than what I'm doing today, but I wish I specialized in law firms from day one and not wasted my 5 or 6 or 7 years prior to just getting into law firms.